Welcome to the Preble Street Maine Hunger Initiative's Breakfast in the Classroom Teacher Training. I'm Katie Pazienza, your presenter today. I'm an AmeriCorps Vista with the Preble Street Maine Hunger Initiative. The Maine Hunger Initiative at Preble Street works to end hunger by supporting food pantries and by advocating for long-term solutions through community organizing and advocacy. We work to increase access to USDA federal nutrition programs and attempt to help raise public awareness concerning hunger and its viable solutions. Did you know that Maine has the highest rate of hunger in New England and is ranked third in the nation for very low food security? 47% of children in Maine are eligible for free and reduced-price school meals, and half of these free and reduced eligible students go home to food-insecure households. Maine has an overall school breakfast participation rate of 40%. The discrepancies between these two percentages meant that over 50,000 students did not take advantage of a free or reduced-price breakfast in the year 2015. The school breakfast program was established in 1975, founding a system in which the USDA reimburses school districts for breakfast served to students who qualify for free or reduced-priced meals. The meals served must meet nutrition standards as defined by the government's Dietary Guidelines for Americans, a concept which we will explore a bit later on. You may be asking yourself, why school breakfast? Why is it our responsibility as teachers to feed kids breakfast? Well, school breakfast contributes to the overall health of your students. Access to school breakfast gets food to those who would otherwise skip breakfast and decreases the risk of marginal food insecurity. Participants are also more likely to consume fruit and milk. School breakfast improved the diet of low-income students and is associated with good health and a lower probability of obesity. On average, students who eat breakfast attend 1.5 more days of school per year and score 17.5% higher on math tests. Students who eat breakfast at school perform better on standardized tests as well. School breakfast promotes concentration, alertness, comprehension, memory, and learning in students. Providing students with breakfast in the classroom is connected with lower tardy rates and fewer disciplinary office referrals. Now we have a video of Dr. Tori Rogers, director of Maine's Let's Go Child Obesity Prevention Program, speaking on breakfast.
I think breakfast is critically important. The kids that get an early start to eat a healthy meal, we know that they're going to do better academically. We know that healthy food is so important for a growing brain, and that kids, we know that if the kids have access to healthy food, easy access, we don't want to make it difficult for them, but if they have easy access to it, they're going to do better throughout the day, whether it's in the academics at school or whether it's on the playing field or whether it's just in interactions with their family and their kids. So nutrition is so important for developing kids, and healthy food is readily available at our schools. Our school breakfast and lunch programs are incredible, and I love the programs where the breakfasts are coming right into the classroom. So all the children are getting the healthy food, not just kids who may need it more than others, because we don't want to stigmatize any of the kids. We don't want to make those kids feel any different than any other kids. So healthy food is critically important for overall health and development and for academic performance. So for schools and teachers and principals who really care about their kids and they really care about their kids' learning, breakfast in the classroom can be one of the best starts to the day for these kids.
Traditional breakfast in the cafeteria, or breakfast before the bell, was designed to benefit students qualifying for free meals, but it has some major drawbacks. With this model, students are often forced to choose between eating breakfast and playing outside and socializing. When buses arrive at different times, not all students have equal access to breakfast. Finally, a stigma is attached to eating at school when it comes to eating breakfast before the bell, because students have to segregate themselves by choosing breakfast over time with friends. Eating breakfast in the classroom reduces the stigma, increases student readiness to learn, and gives teachers the opportunity to model healthy eating habits. It can, however, increase the work of food and custodial staff for food preparation and cleanup, which is why classes need to try their best to do their part and minimize the cleanup for custodial staff. Let's take a look at how breakfast in the classroom works. Food service prepares simple, healthy meals. In the classroom, teachers can invite students to each select a meal or have one student distribute the breakfasts. The teacher takes note of the breakfast taken and which are reimbursable, possibly while taking attendance. Students then eat at their desk while the class does their morning activities. The USDA reimburses schools for breakfasts, but much more money is available than is taken advantage of. Maine currently leaves $81,558 of reimbursement unused per day. This adds up to $13,864,860 per year left on the table. The USDA will provide reimbursement as long as meals fall within certain regulations. 4 items must be offered to students at breakfast time, at least one each of fruit, grains, and milk. A student must take 3 of the 4 items, and 1 must be a fruit. A reimbursable meal must include at least a half-cup fruit serving out of the 1 cup of fruit that must be offered daily throughout the course of all school-provided meals. The fruit can be fresh, frozen, canned, or dried, but only half of the weekly fruit offering may be in the form of juice. Grains must be offered with all meal options. They must be whole grain, and a minimum of the equivalent of 1 ounce must be offered daily. There must be 2 options offered for milk in an 8 or more ounce serving size. The choices can be unflavored 1% milk, unflavored fat-free milk, or flavored fat-free milk, like chocolate or strawberry. Meat or meat alternatives is optional, so it may not apply to your school's breakfast program. Meat or meat alternatives is the USDA category for proteins. This includes eggs, beans, meat, cheese, and nut products. Having meat or a meat alternative at school breakfast is not required, but these can be offered as long as they are properly credited following USDA guidelines. This is where things get confusing. A meat or meat alternative can be offered with breakfast as an extra item, or it can be credited as a grain item. When crediting it as a grain, schools must also offer at least a 1 ounce equivalent of grain in addition. Crediting it as such will also count towards daily and weekly grain minimums and toward USDA dietary specifications. For example, to hopefully make this a bit clearer, if a school wants to have breakfast sausage with the meal and credit this item as a grain with the USDA, the school also has to offer something like a whole grain muffin. There are also some foods that are non-credible, meaning they do not contribute to daily or weekly requirements. Bacon, cream cheese, jelly, syrup, and ketchup are all a part of this category. This means that bacon as a meat or meat alternative cannot count as a grain. You can think of these as bonuses, a sort of thank you for coming item. In food service, there is a difference distinguished between the terms offer and serve. This is important to consider when planning for reimbursable meals. Offer refers to a selection of items from which students can choose when taking their meal. Serve is when a set group of items is given to students. With serve, students have no choice as to which items to take and which to leave, but the meal can be engineered to be reimbursable by food service staff. Offer is what we want to focus on here. With offer, students are able to decline a certain number of food items, which helps to reduce waste and therefore food cost. There are certain rules which need to be followed in order for the meal to be reimbursable. These are that the student must take at least 3 food items, and that one of the items chosen must be at least a half cup of fruit or vegetable if that is being offered. Only if the meal fulfills both of these requirements is it able to be reimbursed by the USDA. This is where you, as the teacher, come in. You are responsible for noting the meals taken and which are reimbursable. In order to save your school the most money possible, encourage students to take a meal that will be reimbursed by the USDA. Now it's time to play Meal or No Meal. Let's determine whether the meals taken by Sally the student are reimbursable. Here is a tray with a bagel and a carton of milk. Can this meal be reimbursed? The answer to that is no. Sally did not take the required fruit. In addition, 3 items need to be taken for this meal to be reimbursed. This tray has cereal, orange juice, and milk. Meal or no meal? Meal. Sally took milk, cereal, and orange juice, 3 components. You'll remember that juice can count for half of the school's fruit offerings in a given week. Here, Sally took bacon, an apple, and eggs. Meal or no meal? No meal. Only 2 items were selected, because you'll remember that bacon is one of those tricky, non-credible items. Sally did take an apple, so she meets the fruit requirement, but she would have had to take another item, like whole grain toast, for the meal to be reimbursable. Orange slices and 2 pieces of whole grain bread. Can this meal be reimbursed? Yes, Sally took 3 items, one of which is a fruit. Here you see that it is okay for Sally to take 2 of the same item, as long as she still takes 3 total items, with 1 being a fruit. A yogurt parfait! Sally's school really stepped up breakfast today. Meal or no meal? Meal. The parfait includes granola, yogurt, and fruit, so it does count as a reimbursable meal. Even though it is all combined in one dish, there are still 3 items here. Sally took milk and an egg sandwich today. Meal or no meal? No meal. Even though Sally took 4 items, milk, a whole grain English muffin, egg, and cheese, she didn't take a fruit. Therefore, this meal cannot be reimbursed. Hopefully, this game helped you to understand the nuances of food service offerings and what will and won't be reimbursed by the USDA. Now, let's move on to a few more logistical points. It's cleanup time. 10 to 15 minutes are allotted for students to eat their breakfasts. After this time, they clean up their desks and put their trash into a plastic trash bag. The bag is then put into a plastic tub and set outside the classroom to be picked up by custodial or food service staff, which minimizes the disruption breakfast could cause in the classroom. Each classroom should have spray cleaner, a sponge, and paper towels on hand in case of spills or messes. Other useful items are a sink strainer and a compost bin for minimizing waste. It is important to give the responsibility of cleaning up to the students. This includes wiping desks, disposing of all leftover items and packaging into trash bags, and placing the bin in the hall for custodians. The cleanup routine will ensure that classrooms are kept clean and that there won't be any potential for rodent problems. Custodians can collect the bins during the time that would have otherwise been spent cleaning the cafeteria with breakfast before the bell, meaning that any extra workload on their part is minimal. In providing school breakfast, food safety is of the utmost importance, and as such, the proper procedures should be followed. Perishable foods should be either returned to the kitchen after breakfast or disposed of in the classroom. These foods should not remain in the classrooms beyond the day they are served. However, teachers may offer a share bowl for unwanted fruit or wrapped items such as granola bars. Students should take these items so that the school still gets reimbursed for the meal, and they can be saved for later to be eaten as a snack. The share bowl ensures that schools will receive maximum reimbursement, but that waste will be minimized. The breakfast team leader at your school will print a 5-day student roster for your class, which you will use daily as a checkoff list to track reimbursable meals and then return to the food service staff. Now we have a pair of quotations from teachers about breakfast in the classroom. We use breakfast time to help build relationships between teachers and students and to do a daily check-in with students to judge their emotional and behavioral regulation coming into school each morning, said a teacher from Kaler Elementary School. Another teacher from that same school said, I use a classroom timer to show students how long we have to eat breakfast. Once the timer has gone off, the students know to clean up all trash. There is a strainer in the sink to help collect excess cereal. A student is selected to wipe down the tables with a clean towel and pick up excess trash. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Together, we can make sure that our students are well fed and ready to learn.